Okay, I think we're ready to go. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Drew DeCarm. I'm a front-end engineer here at Chariot Solutions. And I'm actually very excited to introduce you guys to Llewellyn Falco. He's going to talk to us a little bit about code refactoring. So when I read his abstract, I got super excited about it. You know, what's more appealing than never having to read another line of legacy code again? So hopefully he's going to give us a secret sauce of how do we deal with all of our all of our legacy code issues. So with that, Llewellyn, it's the floor, and have fun.
All right. So first of all, hello, everyone. I'm Llewellyn Falco. I am an agile technical coach, which means that I sit with the programmers and we program together and we learn how to program better together. And a big part of what I do is sort of like three main areas, uh, DevOps, test-driven development, but usually the place that we start is at refactoring code because most people have a lot of code that is pretty unwieldy. And so this is going to be a very different session than the other sessions I've been watching all week and really enjoying the talks. There's some sessions that were a bit code heavy. I really enjoyed those sessions. I really enjoyed, I'm blanking on his name, but when he was talking about the Java bug that popped up between the difference in ARM architecture and Intel architecture. And that was nice and had lots of code samples. This talk today is going to be even more code heavy. And in fact, I have about like 5 slides and the rest of it is just me programming. It's sort of a show off demo-y talk, right? So you're going to see a lot of programming. And there's a couple things I really want you to pay attention to. And the first is, despite this being like an hour of programming, there's going to be very little thinking involved, right? There's 2 reasons for that. A big one is, as a technical coach, a luxury I almost am never afforded is understanding the code that I have to work with. And so because of that, I have a lot of techniques, a lot of different skills, which involve refactoring code without needing to understand it. And that turns out to be really, really useful, even if you do have the luxury where you could understand the code. So I want you to pay attention to that today on how little I am thinking. And then I'm going to introduce 3 or 4 techniques that maybe you've seen some of, probably you haven't seen all together, but definitely together are just really crazy powerful. So let's get into it. So first of all, there are resources for this. If you just want to pop out your phone and grab the QR code, I'll give you a moment to do that. I will also take this link and put it into the chat. And in fact, let's go there for a second, because one of the very first things we're going to do is we're going to do a kata called the Gilded Rose Kata. This is a kata that Emily Bach has made famous, and it's just wonderful. It's like in almost every single language. And it's a kata around legacy code. Like, here's some really complicated code, and you need that if you want to practice cleaning up code, right? And it's actually really hard to purposely write complicated code. It's easy to somehow unintentionally develop it, right? Like all people seem to be like naturally gifted at that, but to purposely write it is remarkably complicated. So it's really nice to have this as a starting point. And so here I have it, and it's loaded up. And there's a couple other things I want to talk about just before we get into it. So the first is, when you are refactoring, I don't like doing it academically. I mean, I actually do enjoy that, but I don't think it's a good practice. I don't think it's a good idea to just go into a code base and clean it up for the purpose of doing, for no other reason. Right now, as practice, that's a valid reason, which is what we're doing here. But in general, it's nice to have a guide. There's something I'm trying to achieve in this code. And for this particular one, we have this feature. It is conjured items degrade in quality twice as fast as normal items. I don't really understand what that means, but again, understanding stuff, not really what we need to do for this exercise. So that is what we're going to try to do. And I'm going to follow this quote from Abraham Lincoln, which is, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I will spend the first 4 sharpening my axe. There's a maybe even a nicer way of saying this from Kent Beck, who said, make the change easy and then make the easy change. Warning, the first part might be hard. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to spend the vast majority of today making it really easy to add that feature. And then we're going to add the feature. And this comes from something we used to say a lot at Teaching Kids Programming, which is a charity to teach kids I co-founded. And we would just say a lot, the difference between a good programmer and a great programmer is that the great programmers are extremely lazy. Laziness is a feature in good programmers. Like the amount of work we do so we do not have to do work again, that is what we are looking for. That's where programming came out of, right? And then one other technique I'm going to use in this exercise is something called Arlo get notation or Arlo commit notation. And the idea here is I'm going to do a lot of commits. We got about an hour, so you can expect maybe, I don't know, somewhere between 80 and 120 commits are going to take place. And each commit I'm going to prefix. Now, when I add that feature, I'm going to use an F and 2 exclamation marks, F bang bang. And the reason for that is we are all aware, whenever you introduce features, you also have an opportunity to introduce bugs. So there's risk. And so I'm using both the exclamation marks and the uppercase letters to denote the risk of my check-in. If I fix a bug, which I don't expect to do, but if I do, I will also denote that risk with a capital B bang bang, because we all know when we fix bugs, we get the opportunity to introduce new bugs. And then finally, if we go to the bottom of this, if I do a refactoring, that's also risky because often we inadvertently change things. Right? Now, I have here non-provable refactoring, right? We'll come back to what that means in a second, but let's go to test. If I only add a unit test, I'm going to denote that with a small t, because if I'm only adding a unit test, if I'm not touching production code, I cannot break production. And you might say, well, you can prevent it from getting to production, right? Like your CI might stop before you deploy. And that's fair, but you can't actually break production itself. If something went wrong in production, it's not because you added a test, right? You have to actually change the code in production. And at a similar level of list is going to be something called a provable refactoring, right? And we're going to get into what that is, but the shorthand for what we're going to use right now is if I can do it as an automated IntelliJ keystroke, we're going to count that as safe, right? And the reason for that is just IntelliJ in Java they're really good with their refactorings, right? Their refactorings are safe. They do a lot of static code analysis to make sure that before and after that code behaves the same. And then there's going to be another way that I get it through tests. That is only going to be true if I am able to get to mutation safe testing, meaning that I have so many combinations of tests that not only do I have 100% test coverage, like that's not enough, that if anything I was to change, displayed a behavior change, I would know about it, right? And that might take, I don't know, maybe 500, 1,000 tests before we get there, but we got an hour. So again, we'll probably hit that as well. So yeah, I think that is all the things I really care about. Let's write a few hundred tests. All right, so here we are, we're in the code. Now, the nice thing that Emily gave us is she actually gave us a unit test starting. I really appreciate that. So let's run it. Okay, so it's failing. The expected was fix me. Right, okay, so I think she gave us like the start of a test. No problem there. And the actual is foo. Well, the question I need to ask right now is foo the correct answer? And the answer to that question is yes. And why is it the correct answer? Any deep understanding of what this, no. Just very simply, this is what it does. And the only gift legacy code is going to give you is it's in production. This is what people are doing. I'm not trying to fix a bug. I'm trying to make sure that whatever I change doesn't change anything. And therefore, whatever it does is what it does, and therefore is correct. So I'm going to put foo here. And I am going to run this. And hey, it changes, it works. And so I'm going to commit that. And let me just pull up on desktop here, and I'm going to right here. So save change, so lowercase t. I'm only changing the test file, which we can see right here in Gilded Road test. Let's try it again. And test work, I don't need much of this. So commit. Okay. It looks like what we're verifying here is the name. That's just not as great as I'd like it to. I'd rather check sort of like the entire state of whatever this item 0 is. So I'm just going to do a toString on there and kind of hope that it works. It doesn't, but hey, look, where it used to just say foo, now it tells me all this other stuff. Don't really know what that means, but also don't really care. I'm just going to copy and paste the same way I did with foo. And let's run that again. And whoo, I'm passing. So that tells me two things. The first thing it tells me is whatever this information is, it's consistent. Maybe run that again and again. Yeah, that's good enough for me to feel comfortable. So better test. All right. So, you know, it's a little annoying that I have to keep going to that to check this stuff in. The first thing I'm going to do, let's go back here and we're going to open up. This is a test commit revert. This is a technique also popularized by Kent Beck. It's a little extension that Lars made. I really like it. So I'm just going to grab that Maven dependency and shove it into my Palm. Where are my dependencies? Up here. All right, and IntelliJ makes me reload my Maven file. Don't quite understand why that exists, but it does. And then what extension should I use? Commit when it's green. That sounds pretty good. Commit, fail, revert. I'm not quite ready for that right now. Actually, you know what I like? Let's commit my production code, but don't revert my tests. So my tests right now are going to be, you know, a little bit because I had to keep copying and pasting them, and I don't want to keep on doing that. So I'm going to copy that, and I am going to copy the first part of this, the code part. So let's go here, and I'm going to put this into my test. And what was that extension from above that I wanted? It was the other thing on my clipboard. There we go. And add all those things in. Maybe add all of them for me. There we go. So now if I run this, it should still pass because I haven't really done anything other than this. And it does pass. Oh, and it comes up and it prompts me with that message, right? And this is just test. So I'm going to say test added TCR. Test commit revert. Oh man, that window takes a little bit of time to go. So where is my, there we are. So let's use this fast test commit. It's not going to be as pretty, but it works really good on Mac OS. I am on Mac OS, so that works out pretty well. And again, let's run that. Oh, that did not work because I did not import. That works. And let's clean that up and run that. There, that's much faster. Faster test. Okay. So this is good. I've got a thing. I got it running. Maybe I'm done. You know, I got a test. It's working. The way I would figure this out is I'm going to run it with coverage. And what is this doing? This doing this thing. So all I need to see is the stuff it's really hard to see the green here, but here's a line of it on line 44. that it means that that line is being protected. And look, we got a line up here that's being protected, and that seems like pretty much all of it. So I don't think I'm done yet. So what I'm going to need to do is do some more tests. And I can actually see the first line that isn't green here tells me that the name is AgeBree. So I'm going to have to do something with AgeBree. So I'm going to introduce a couple quick things. The first is this copy and paste was annoying. So I'm going to introduce an easier way to do that with a form of approval testing or snapshot testing called approval tests. And so we want the Java version. Excuse me. And I'm going to grab the little Maven block from here. And let's go add that to my POM. And again, I have to hit the refresh button. Good. If I run that, good. Added approval tests. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is actually use approval tests. So here, instead of doing this assert equals, all I have to do is say approvals.verify, and I'm going to pass in this. So let's run that. And now this is going to fail because approvals always fails the first time you run it, and apparently with a very large window because I have resized my screen. Huh. Funny story. How do you fix that? Let's see if I can fix it this way. No, I can't. All right. I might lose you for a second as I switch my screen to a much bigger resolution. So I can then make this a much smaller resolution. And then let me bring my screen back up. Sorry about that. This is what you get for doing live coding. Let's go back down to something everyone can see. No, still not big enough. Okay, let's make it here. Can I see now? There we can. Okay, make it smaller still. And smaller still. All right. Still, does it resize the window based on how big the window is? That doesn't make any sense. Let's try one more time. We're going to full screen it. Actually, full screen it. And now switch my window back to something everyone can see. There we go. Nope. All right, we'll deal with full. Oh, definitely don't want that. No, still don't want that. There we go. Now I can see something. All right, so we'll try that again. Run the test. Pop up in a non-full screen window that still cannot see. There we go. So here we're getting that revert, or we're getting the same text. This time to copy and paste it, I just move it over to the other window. Let's try it again. Move it over to the other window. What's going on? Okay, zoom. Please move to another part of the screen. There we go. Move it over to the other window. Okay, not sure what I did differently there, but So now, when I run it again, it should pass. First approval. And the reason I'm doing this is it allows me to do a pattern, which I call many of one, which is right now I have one test. And I know that I am going to need many tests. Oh, I am seeing more Zoom problems. Give me 1 second. Nope. There we go. Zoom back up. Okay, so I know I'm going to need many tests. And so what I'm going to do is implement a test thing where I can use many, but only do one. And to do that, I sort of need to do a little bit of refactoring. So let's start with some of the simple stuff. This foo, that's the name. So I want to deal with that. So I'm going to pull that into a variable. We're going to call that name. And then this is the thing that I want to approve. And so I'm going to pull this into a variable. And I'm going to call that result. Oh, that's a little unfortunate. Let's run that though. So both of these are in the test still. I did use the provable refactoring, so I could also over lowercase r that, but I don't keep it in the test because that's my ultimate level of safety. Extract variable. And I don't like that this is an item, especially since it just turns it into a string anyways. So let's do that. And I think this should still work. So test toString. And now I can pull this entire thing out as do stuff. So I got this name, I do some stuff with the name, I verify that I got the stuff that I got. Extract the method. All right, so now we're still just doing one. So instead of doing that, I am going to make this many. So I'm going to make a string array that contains foo. All right. At the moment, this is really then just doing foo of 0, right? And that should do the same thing. So this is sort of many of 1. It's still not exactly many because I have many names. That's actually not a really great name anymore. Let's change that to names. But I'm still just doing one test. So I'm going to switch this now to do combination approvals. And instead of verify, it's going to be a verify all combinations. In all combinations, when I call do stuff and I pass it my names. Now, this test I actually expect to break a little bit. Fortunately, I have the setting where it only reverts my production code. And I break in a very specific way because combination approvals passes in the inputs. Let me see if I can, nope. Preferences. Let's choose something a little bit bigger for everybody. Okay, there we go. So it passes in what the input is and what the output is. So again, I'm just going to move that over because it is what it is. And now I should have a passing test. Combination approvals. So all of that work was just to get to doing exactly what I was doing before when I realized I didn't have enough test coverage. But I forgot now why I don't have enough test coverage. But that's not a problem because I can always rerun my test coverage and go look at the yellow, which was age brie. So age brie seems to be important. I could try to figure it out, but really not worth it. I'm just going to pass it in. So now we have foo and age brie. And when I run this, it's going to pop up and hey, look, I got 2 things. I know that they're right because it's what it does. So I'm going to save that, close it, and I'm going to run it again. Expect it to pass now. 2 tests. This is kind of confusing because I'm testing two things, even though it's one unit test. And then let's run it under coverage again. I could be done. I'm not done. Okay. What do we got here? We got this thing. Some kind of concert. So obviously this was written in the before times or in the virtual world. Let's run this. So now I got three things. It's right because it's what it does. I don't even really have to look at it, which I kind of enjoy. 3 tests. All right, maybe I'm done now. Let's run it in coverage again. Not done. Quality. Quality is not name. So I'm gonna have to do something with quality. So before I can even do this, let's see, this is selling, this is quality. So I'm going to introduce this as a parameter. Hey, that's nice. That's super useful. Oh yeah, and now it's complaining. Well, it's going to complain for a couple reasons. So let's try that again. So select the 0, hit the quality. Yep. It's wrong. I don't care. We'll fix it. So the first problem is we're using reflection and we're using Java. So you can't use, you need to use integer. The next problem is going to be my calling site. It probably doesn't know how to handle that. Oh, it did. Hey, that's nice. Let's see if that works. Cool. Introduce parameter. Okay. But I don't want to because I want qualities really. So let's extract that as a variable. Extract variable. And then, oh man, that's really not at all how I want that. I want that more like that. And again, I want integers. And I want many of 1. So qualities equals 0. And then here I can do qualities of 0. If I did that right, let's see. Yep. Okay. Many of 1 for qualities. But now I don't need to do this junk at all. I can go back to just saying, call this stuff with my names. And my qualities. So I'm going to run that. I expect this to break. Why? Because I'm now passing in more inputs. And the nice thing about the diff here is it shows that the inputs are the only things that are new. So again, move that over. And let's run it again. Now I expect it to pass. Qualities. So one really quick check-in I want to do here is if I look at my history, look at all these lowercase t's. I have not touched production code at all. I'm 17 commits into this and I'm completely safe. That's good. I like being safe because I have found that, I've written code before, and just between you and me, like this is not something to share in general, but I've introduced bugs. It's happened. The thing though is, even though I've introduced bugs all the time when I've written features, well, not all the time, but much more than I'd appreciate. I've never had anyone come to me and say, hey, Llewellyn, you introduced a bug, no more writing features. But I have also sometimes introduced a bug refactoring. And I have had people say, hey, when you refactor that, you broke things. Please stop refactoring, no more refactoring. It's weird sort of thing. So because of that, maybe because managers don't tend to see the results of refactoring directly, so they don't appreciate it as much. And they definitely don't feel the pain of messy code directly. So they definitely don't appreciate that as much either. There's this asymmetry that's involved. That's just a format, but I'm going to commit that too. Using our thing before, I'm going to use the lowercase a for auto format. Okay, so now I could be done. I can't be done. The whole reason I did this is because I needed different qualities. Don't remember what that was, but here it is. Oh, something around 0. There's who knows how, that's not worth thinking about. Numbers around 0, -1, 1, that's like all the numbers. Okay, little strange thing's going to happen here. I've added 2 numbers, but I'm now up to 9 tests because it's running all of my names with all of my qualities. Is it right? Of course it is, because that's what it does. All right. So we're up to 9 tests. And now maybe we're done. Nope. Looks like this is a name again. So I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to add it into here. I can minimize that too. So I add 1 name, and that should be adding another 3 situations because I have 3 qualities. So we're up to 12 tests. And now maybe we're done. No, we have qualities around 50. Okay. Again, 49, 50, 51. Those are numbers around 50. We're up to 24 tests. And are we done yet? No, we have a cell-in that we need to deal with. So where's cell-in? Cell-in's this thing. So let's add that as a parameter. It's going to complain for the same reason as before. So again, we're going to put that as an integer. And I'm just going to jump straight here to this do stuff, names. Sort of not the right order, is it? At least it's not the same order as it is there. I'm going to fix that right away. And do some cell-ins, which we're going to need. And it's going to be an integer array again. And it used to be 0. So if I do this, I expect it to fail, but only because it's now showing me new inputs. Everything else should be the same, and that's exactly what I see here. So why were we looking at this? We got cell-ins at 11 and 6. That's too much work. Okay, so we're at 0 to 11-ish. Let's go from -1 to 12. That should cover everything inside of there. All right. So we're up to 336 tests. I know that's right because this is what the code does. Haven't even touched the production code at this point. Let's see how we're doing. Okay, this is looking good. 336 tests later, we got some fully covered code. Now, what does this code do? No idea. I know a couple things about it. I know that it has names, qualities, and cell-ins. These numbers seem to be important. These numbers also seem to be important. but I think it's time to start looking at this code. So we're going to now shift from just writing tests to actually refactoring the code. Now, depending on the situation you have, I might take all of this code right now and push it as a pull request, right? Because, hey, it's only adding test. You barely need to read this pull request, despite the fact that it is 23 commits. You can just scan down here and see lowercase t, lowercase t, lowercase t. We're all good. Oh, I missed a lowercase t on that. I should modify it. Anyhow, let's do some stuff here. So hide coverage. What is that there? Okay. Well, this is definitely big. Let's make it smaller. And we got curly braces. Curly braces are great things to make things smaller on. So let's extract it. Extracted is a great name. So now I have this 4 extracted of, that's weird. Why am I passing I into here? Oh, okay, yeah, no, undo that. Nice thing about small commits. Looks like this I is being used here. So I'm gonna extract that as a local variable, all 37 places. Sure, that sounds good. I did that using IntelliJ, so I can use the lowercase r. It's still safe. I also, by the way, have full tests. Like I now have complete mutation safe test, so that I can also use the lowercase r for that, but right now I'm using it just because it's an IntelliJ shortcut. Extract variable. Now I'm going to take the rest of this and extract that as applesauce. Applesauce is a great name because it's nonsense and it's obvious nonsense. So, hey, look, I do this one thing. I can actually even just inline that. Now that's cleaner. Let's run that. In fact, I really would prefer this to be an enhanced for loop. All right. Haven't really done too much to the code right now, but I've got this stuff. Okay, so I've got these if statements here, notably here with this age brie. I'm going to do a refactoring called a LiftIf conditional refactoring. This is something that's predicated on having code coverage, but we have that. So first step of LiftIf is to extract everything. So I got applesauce. Now, let's try that again. What is that? Alt grow, Alt Shift grow. No. No, 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 no. Yeah, whatever. We'll just grab everything inside. And I'm going to extract this as applesauce 2. Pretty easy to do. Extract method. So that's step 1 of the LiftIf conditional. The next part is I'm going to introduce some dead code. So I'm going to introduce an if statement. And I'm actually going to introduce this as an else statement too. Now, what am I could use true. I could use false, all of the answers. Really anything works here. Let's start with just true. I'm introducing some dead code, so it's pretty easy to do this safely. There is actually a way to provably do this without tests, but I'm going to use my tests to do it here. Dead if. Because this is dead, it doesn't really matter what it is, so I'm going to use this age brie. Oh, I'm missing a parenthesis. Let's try that again. So you might be asking, why did that not roll back? And the answer is because if I was doing this in Eclipse, it actually would roll back because Eclipse compiles code that doesn't compile. But because it didn't compile, it didn't run. And because it didn't run, it didn't get to roll back. Commit message here is dead conditional. And now I can do this very interesting thing, which is I've got this code here once after a dead block, but what I can actually do is move it into the block as long as I move it into both sections of the block. So now, regardless of what this is, I do what it is instead of doing nothing and then doing it. Again, I run my test. And this is where the LiftIf conditional gets really interesting. Move into if. Because if I run this under coverage, what you're going to see is a lot of green. Look at all that beautiful, beautiful green. But now, if I take applesauce 2 and I inline it, and I'm going to inline all of them and remove the method, and I run this, it will still pass because provable refactoring inline. But now when I run it under coverage, I don't get all green. Look at all this red. Look at all this yellow. So I'm going to do the very easy thing of deleting the red. Obviously, that does not matter. So hey, I got some red here. I'm going to delete it. Delete red. And then look, this is just coding by coloring book. I got some red here. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to copy that because it looks like I got some more red coming up. I got some red here. I'm going to delete that. I got some red here. I'm going to delete that. I got some red here. I'm going to delete, what is it? All of this. Not sure if I did that right, but I got a test that will tell me. I did not do that right. All right. And we're going to undo. Let's try, let's run our tests here and make sure that we're back to where we actually want. Nope, it didn't undo properly because it didn't compile. Fortunately, I can just go here and discard. And let's run that again. And now let's see if I can stay within the lines when I'm coloring. We have an if that starts here. This if goes all the way from here to here. So I should be able to delete all of that. And did I do my coloring right? I did, yay. All right, and it also looks like this second part never gets happened either. So I can get rid of that. You know what? That whole block you can probably get rid of because look, there's nothing inside of it. So it looks like I've taken care of all the red. Now I'm going to go and deal with all the yellow. And what the yellow basically means is this always goes one way, meaning it always goes to the else because it didn't go to the if. So this is always false. Now, maybe I got it wrong. Let's try true. Nah, it complains. And when I come back, it's actually undone when I've done because test commit revert. So now let's do the proper thing. So the nice thing about this is just, I can think and reason about it, but even if I don't, delete yellow. It doesn't matter. So this does go into it. So this is true. Nope. This is false. No, that can't be the case either. What is going on here? This is maybe a dead branch. Let me run this again. That's better. Better coloring. All right, so this is false. And in fact, can probably just remove that statement. And this if also I can probably, no, I can invert the if condition. There we go. And can I now remove braces? No, that is not right. I want to do is remove this true, unwrap. There we are. Let's run that and see if that, good. All right, this goes into it. So this is always true. This goes into it. So this is always true. No, this is green. This doesn't go into it. So this is always false. It's the yellow. Should be able to follow colors better. This goes into it, so this must be true. Oh, messed up right there. If true and, let's try that again. Find some more yellow. This goes into it, so this must be true. This goes into this, so this must be true. You'll notice I'm being a little cavalier here, but I can do that because I know if I get it wrong, it's going to fix it for me. Clean that up. Ah. Can delete that. I'm not sure why IntelliJ is not suggesting that to me. It should now at least suggest unwrap the block. There we go. And let's run this again under color because I think our color is way out of sync now. All right, so this looks good. This looks good. This does not look good. I'm just going to remove this if true part and then unwrap the block. And let's see if we have any more stuff like that. This true and, that's useless. This false means I can just do that and then unwrap the block. Unwrap that if statement. Oh, bad commit message. Let's try that again. There we are. So if you don't put in a commit message, it will actually not save it. So now I've cleaned up all my coloring. So now I'm going to take this first part again and extract that as a method. Applesauce aged brie. And this part, which is applesauce everything else. All right, and can I actually add braces? There we are. That's nicer. The thing about this is, oh, let's run that. Make sure that we're passing. I now have some fairly simple code, but it's still kind of tied together. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a return statement. There's a couple different ways I can do this. Let's do it the safest way possible. So the recipe for this is I'm going to move it to the bottom of the method, and I'm going to check that it doesn't compile. And if it doesn't compile and I move it one line up and it does compile, I know I've got it in it correctly. So here I'm doing provability through a sequence of verifiable steps. And because I did it here, I'm going to now move it into both of these places. I forgot to hit the R. Sorry about that. And that means I can now get rid of this else statement. So applesauce. What is applesauce? I've been using this because I don't really need to care about the name, but it's about to propagate. So all I know is applesauce is the only thing we do for update quality, but we do it for each item. So I'm going to rename this to update quality for item. And then, so let's run that. And then here, whatever update quality for item does, it does it for age brie or it does it for everything else. So I can rename this to update quality for item, except for that's not quite right either. I want it to be for, oh, that did not do what I wanted it to do. But small steps. Let's try it again. Discard all changes. There we go. So now let's try an actual rename and say update quality for aged brie. This is just a rename. Now I can do another conditional, right? So same technique as before. If true, else. I'm going to take applesauce and move it into here on both places. Oh, that's an interesting feature. That feels like some really risky code to me. Thankfully, I have tests.
Hey, Llewellyn, just as a quick time check, we have about 7 minutes left.
Ooh, thank you. I'm going a bit slower than before, but I think we'll still get there. We'll find out. But thank you for the time check. So here, we got this backstage passes. Did not copy that right. And I am going to inline these and run with coverage. And we're going to do a nice deleting of the red. So that's right. I'm going to bunch this a little bit just from a time perspective. That's red. That's red. That's red. That's red. It's always dangerous to bench all this stuff up. But we have tests, so let's see if I did it all right. Yeah. Did I get all the red? I did. We got some yellow here, which means we only go into the else, which means we always go into it, which means we only go into the else. Let's see if I did that right. I'm getting better at coloring. And let's clean this stuff up as well. Remove those braces. I think I saw another one of those up here, but I apparently am mistaken. All right. Remove braces. All right, so now we have this update item for this backstage passes. We're going to take that out and just extract it. And this, I know the name, right? So I know that this is update quality for backstage passes. And then I know this is update everything else. So extracting method. All right, and now again, I can do the same thing. Add my braces. Add my braces and add my early returns. Let's see if I did that right. I'm really feeling grateful right now that I have my tests to protect me. Early return, which means, again, I can delete my else. And I can do another LiftIf conditional, which again, this is now like the 4th time you've seen this. Do everything here. And here. And now I'm going to inline them again. And I'm going to do one more pass at coloring book. All right. So if this is true, so we can get rid of that. Oh, I inlined the wrong thing. Let me undo that. Am I back to a happy place? Let's inline this one. There, that's better. And so I got this one last thing going on here. I got this thing. Oh no, we've already done this one. We haven't done this one. So let's copy this. And let's give this a run under coverage again.
So Llewellyn, I apologize. I'm gonna have to cut you off. Unfortunately, we're kind of out of our time. But there's about.
Wait. I got 3 minutes, right?
You have 1 minute left.
1 minute. Oh, that is not enough time.
So what we do have is we have a chat going in Slack. So feel free to join there. And anybody who has any questions, this definitely was fascinating. Can't believe how fast you moved through this stuff. It's definitely
wild. So unfortunately, I'm right at the place where I can start handling the other, which is where we add our new feature, but I haven't quite hit there yet. But let's see where we are. So if we go here to the desktop, we are 74 commits into this problem. And so far, we have only used lowercase letters. Right? So we could deploy this to production really safely. We could do this to production without running regression tests against it because we're all lowercase letters. And now the pattern that we're starting to see here is we have some code that does stuff for AgeBree, that does stuff for backstage passes, that does stuff for sulfurous. At some point, if we go back to our original feature, where's my PowerPoint? We are going to need to add something for conjured. And that's going to be a much simpler thing to do because it's no longer interwoven with all of these problems. And again, we've done all of this. We've been in this code for an hour. We've done 74 commits. We still don't know what it actually does for any of those things, right? We don't need to know what it does for any of those things to clean up the code. We just need to know where it goes. What were the questions? Or we'll have the conversation on Slack.
Yeah, so we have a Slack group. It's Room C, so feel free to join. Once again, thank you so much for the presentation. It was definitely very in depth. Fascinating how you just flew through that. So we really appreciate it, and we'll see anybody in the comments.
Sounds good.
All right,
Thanks
thank
very
you.
much for spending the hour with me.